Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am flying solo. Geeky Sparkles is helping Mama Sparkles again today. But I'm going to do an update on the Doctor Who situation. So it's bad enough that fans got the feeling they were despised by people working on the current incarnation of Doctor Who, given the retcons, given the kind of FU attitude by some of the people associated with the show. And now we have an actual Doctor Who scriptwriter coming, directly at fans and saying they can get the F out. So the disdain for Doctor Who fans is real, it's palpable. We saw this with Star Wars fans too, being attacked, being demonized by Lucasfilm, which actually drives more eyeballs away from the property, away from the show, drives down merchandise sales. Fans, don't shell out money to organizations, to studios, if they don't feel like they're welcome. And this happened with Lucasfilm. Now, they're coming back for The Mandalorian, but the sequel trilogy was a bust. And we're seeing it with Doctor Who, too, where if you're not on board with the current incarnation of the Doctor and the massive FU that was the retcon in the Timeless Children, then you're not welcome. You're not welcome in the fandom. And given how many people are tuning out of Doctor Who, I think that there are a lot of people who are feeling like, the show's no longer for them. And now we've literally got writers who work on the show telling fans to go fuck off. So before we get into it, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We're over 150,000 subs. Thanks for the support. And check out our merch shop if you get a chance at shopclownfish.com. Again, we don't have a Patreon or anything like that. We do very, very few live streams. But if you want to support us, buying merch is probably the way to go. We do have pre-orders up for a new pin set, Neon and Geeky pins. We have a very limited supply of Bubbly Steve pins, and we got all kinds of holiday shirts, including Happy Festivus, Fisto's favorite holiday, right? So this is coming from Bounding Into Comics. Check them out, boundingintocomics.com. I actually would put a link in the description, but I've been linking to other websites, and YouTube doesn't like that. Sometimes they ding my videos for it. So just go to boundingintocomics.com, read the original article. So this is Doctor Who scriptwriter Vinay Patel tells fan to get the F out. He recently told a fan to get the F out after they asked a question on whether Doctor Who will continue the story of Jo Martin's Doctor. Of course, Jo Martin's Doctor being the first Doctor of color, and she was introduced as part of the retcon, which is very unfortunate because I think she actually carries herself better than Jodie Whittaker. I think I would have actually preferred her as the 13th Doctor, but she's all caught up in this retcon bullshit. And, this isn't a very good look for the people working on the show either. Like, you don't want to piss the fans off. You're losing fans. You're losing fans. You don't need to piss them off. First reported by YouTuber, V. Lebetkin, Patel specifically took issue with a meme created by Twitter user John the White that removes the Doctors introduced to the series by Chris Chibnall. Vinay's comment specifically came in response to a question from John the White, who asked, "I have a question. We know all showrunners fib to keep things secret, but would you agree with me it would not be disrespectful both to Jo Martin's character and to Jo as an actor to not continue her story in Series 13? Included as part of his question, he shared a quote from showrunner Chris Chibnall, who detailed that he wasn't sure if Martin's Doctor will return in the future. Chibnall told Radio Times, "I don't know. It's the honest answer. It just hasn't happened yet." In response to his tweet, Vinay, an actual Doctor Who writer, told John the White to GTFO. He wrote, "Hi, John. Considering you literally cut her out of a celebratory picture, I don't think you get to talk about what's disrespectful to Jo." Patel then added, "So take her name out of your mouth and get the fuck out." Oh, hey, that's nice. Patel is specifically referring to a meme that John the White has been using that has removed both the Doctors created by Chris Chibnall. So he removed Jo Martin's Doctor. I don't even know what number she is because she's a retcon Doctor, and also Doc 13. The meme was based off an image that the official Doctor Who Twitter account shared by artist Gnoodle back in November 23rd for Doctor Who Day. Has all the doctors in it, including the ones that are not liked very much by some parts of the fandom. And here's the meme that John the White has begun using on Twitter that has both Joe Martin's Doctor and Jodie Whittaker's Doctor removed from the original. Not only are Whittaker and Martin's Doctor removed, but now reads, "No Chibnall required." I actually would agree with that sentiment. To me, Doctor Who died after Capaldi. You know, the show does not feel like Doctor Who. It doesn't seem to care about the fans. They've retconned the entire history of Doctor Who. And it feels like, you know, two middle fingers up to the fandom. And with the writer's attitude, you know, he could have just not answered. But with that attitude, it shows how much disdain the Doctor Who writers have for fans of the show. And I'm sure it's not just him, because very, very seldom do people go rogue. You look at the situation with like Chuck Wendig at Lucasfilm and the disdain that he had for certain members of the fandom, you know, and it is a cultural thing. You know, if your bosses are telling you daily, like, don't attack the fans, just, you know, don't engage them if they're being difficult, but don't attack them, because things that you say could actually hurt our bottom line, could hurt our viewership. You know, if that was coming from the top, you wouldn't see things like this on Twitter. But when you've got, you know, writers out there, they're supposed to be representing these companies, these franchises, making comments like this, you know that from the top down, this is how they feel. Now, maybe Chris Chibnall can't say something like that, but his writers are going to say something like that because it's not discouraged. You know, Lucasfilm, the reason things got so out of hand, the reason that Star Wars fans were attacked as long as they were attacked, is that Kathleen Kennedy didn't put her foot down and say, don't do this. In fact, she's probably joining in on it. She's just not out there making the comments herself because she's above it all, but her underlings absolutely are. That's the culture. So now I think we know, and we've long suspected it, but I think we know that the folks working on Doctor Who under Chris Chibnall loathe the fans. They don't like the fans. You know, we're seeing some cracks in the armor here. They really don't like the fans. And, you know, Jodie Whittaker's made some comments too, and all of that. They don't like the old school Doctor Who fans. They don't want the old school Doctor Who fans. They want this new audience. I think it's Zach over on Diversity in Comics, your boy Zach, who talked about the fandom audience, that comic book publishers were chasing a phantom audience. They had an audience that they wanted, that they were making their comic books for, but that audience never actually materialized. So they basically wound up making comic books for themselves and their friends in Portland. And that's kind of what's going on with TV shows like Doctor Who right now, is we have a bunch of like-minded people turning Doctor Who into something it wasn't for themselves and to get fist bumps on Twitter. But the reality is they're alienating a large portion of the existing fan base in the process. And it's clear that they despise the fans. You know, it becomes more and more clear. So why should we even watch our show? You know, why watch it? Why give them money? Why encourage them to make more? Just tune out. And a lot of people are tuning out from Doctor Who. The ratings are terrible, and I expect them to get worse, especially if they double down with another retcon, which we reported on yesterday. Again, that was coming from Bounding in the Comics, that there is another rumored retcon Doctor that's going to make an appearance in this next season. Just stop already. Just stop. So John the White would also respond to Patel telling him to get the fuck out. On the video, he would write, "Thanks for featuring his second exchange with Vinay Patel on your channel. People can see it for themselves here." He said, "I think it does summarize the whole problem for fans these days. The only acceptable attitude is unquestioning submission." That's true. I actually reached out to Vinay as an olive branch because I do think bringing in a new historic person of color Doctor and then leaving them hanging in the air without a proper storyline is the worst kind of tokenism the show could fall into. A show that, after all, is produced by a middle-aged white man, and I'm reminded of Lenny Henry slamming the attitudes he encountered inside the Cardiff production. John the White continued. He went on, Vinay can't get past that decades-long fans aren't accepting Chibnall's era as a success and have headcanoned the show ending with Capaldi and conflates criticism of Chibnall with either sexism or racism simply because Chibnall has cast two women and one of them's not white. Perhaps we should be accused of Islamophobia as well, given Yaz's family's religion. How many minorities does Chibnall want to hide behind rather than honestly face the fandom? Why didn't he give the assurance that the Ruth Doctor story would continue when Radio Times asked him? Oh, they'll probably continue her story in comics or something that nobody is actually going to read. I mean, personally, I would have preferred, if they were going to go this route, that she's actually the 14th or 15th Doctor, thinking that she's actually a retcon, but she's not, and the whole thing is just a lie concocted by the Master. But that makes entirely too much sense. No, we have to retcon Doctor Who. Meanwhile, in 2 articles today, John the White questioned Radio Times has once again pushed the Phasmin lesbian relationship between Yaz and the Doctor, and furthermore revealed the reason Captain Jack has been brought in as a catalyst so Yaz can admit her sexual passion for the Doctor. What? In what universe do you have to live to think this is going to bring back the Lost family audience and reverse the last 2 series' catastrophic decline? That's not what they're doing. Again, they're making a Doctor Who show for themselves and their friends and their like-minded people and Twitter. You know, it's a phantom audience. They're chasing away the historic Doctor Who audience. Now, not all of them, obviously, but the numbers don't lie. The show is declining. There's a lot of backlash, and it's not just because Jodie Whittaker is a female Doctor. There are a lot of problems with this show. My biggest problem with it initially was that it's boring as hell, and I don't want to watch it because it's boring. But now that they've retconned the Doctor's entire history, the Doctor's entire origin, you know, this team working on Doctor Who, they can GTFO as far as I'm concerned, because they've made a concerted effort to piss all over the legacy of the longest running science fiction show in history. You know, they can take a flying leap. I don't accept it as canon. For me, the Doctor Who ended it with Capaldi as well, just because of all this retcon bullshit that's going on. John the White concludes, I for one won't be polluting my enjoyment of Doctor Who with any more canon-abusing, deconstructive hackery, and I encourage others not to watch any further Chibnall content in any way that gives BBC a ratings result, and thereby commit to at least boycott iPlayer until after the 8-day rating has come out. I didn't watch any of Series 12 except for Fugitive of the Judoon because of Dr. Ruth. I wanted to see what the deal was with that, and the Timeless Children, just to see how god-awful it was. And Doctor Who, for me, used to be, you know, must-see TV. I used to watch it live every week on BBC America for years, and it was a family show for years, and one by one, everybody dropped off for various reasons, and I was the last man standing. I watched every week religiously up through Capaldi's era, and I got about halfway through Whittaker's run, season 11, and I was like, what the fuck is this? This is not Doctor Who. This is not the show I've loved for years. This is not the show my family loved. I don't know what the hell it is, but it's a pale, pale, pale imitation. And if this show didn't have the Doctor Who name attached to it, it would fail miserably, because it's boring as fuck. It's preachy. It's ham-fisted. It just wouldn't make it on its own. The only reason anybody even tunes into this show is because of the Doctor Who branding. And that's how this works. And that's how it worked in comics, and how it works with other long-running franchises, is that people are going to tune in because of the brand recognition of Star Wars or Star Trek or Doctor Who or whatever comic book it is. But the reality is that the show is a pale imitation of a much better show, a much better movie, a much better comic book. And you're only buying it because of the brand recognition and the false hope that these people will actually pull their heads out of their asses and give you entertainment that lives up to the legacy of these franchises. And they're all legacy franchises. And this is all about infiltrating the biggest platforms to turn the show into something it isn't, to use it as a political soapbox. And when people push back, they're called names. How many times has this happened? Why are we letting it happen? Just tune out. At some point, you have to just give up and say, this isn't my show anymore. This is a zombified version of the show I loved. it's no longer the show I loved, and I'm out of love with it, and I'm turning it off. It's like being in an abusive relationship. We've talked about that before. How many times are you going to get beaten until you figure out that this is abusive and you need to get out of this relationship? How much money are you going to give these studios as they spit in your face, as they insult you on Twitter? You know, the Star Trek fans, the Star Wars fans, the Doctor Who fans, the comic book fans, the animation fans. You know, at some point you have to be like, I'm sorry, this is toxic. This is a toxic relationship, and we're out. The fans have to pull out. And I have absolutely pulled out from Doctor Who. I don't care. I'm not buying any Doctor Who anything. I'm not buying the comics. I'm not reading the comics. I'm not watching the new show. I thought about checking out the Christmas show, but I don't know, guys. If I do, I don't want to go through official channels. I just want to see what kind of a train wreck it's going to be. But when you've got people out there like this representing the show, making comments, we have to turn it off. Just be like, you don't get to tell the fans to go fuck themselves, you know, and expect us to support you. Same thing happened with Star Wars. Same thing happened with Star Trek. And it's got to happen with Doctor Who too. No matter how much you love classic Who or love David Tennant and Matt Smith's era, realize Doctor Who is dead. It is not the show you grew up watching, and we've got asshats like this running it or being put in charge. Just turn it off. Turn it off. Gonna wrap it up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, and we'll talk later.